think you can escape?
You will not stop me, Aku.
Or Samurai Jack? Samurai Jack is in the house.
Do be careful, little boy.
Let's dance.
I thought I lost you.
Rated T or teen.
Hey everyone, I'm Dan from Adult Swim Games. We know you've been asking for more, so let's dive into the details of gameplay. In Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, players will collect Skill Fire and Bushido from slain enemies to unlock skills throughout the game. Each section of the skill tree focuses on different ways to improve Jack's abilities or unlock completely new skills and combos that will help Jack defeat everything that Aku throws at him. And for the fans who have been asking, yes, Jump Good is in the game. We're going to show off some more skills later, but right now let's highlight the first few core skills you'll unlock towards the beginning of the game. Parry is executed when blocking an enemy right as the attack is about to land. This will leave the enemy open to attack and is a great way to get in your favorite combo. Ki attack is your ultimate ability that can only be executed when the Ki attack gauge is full. Collecting Ki fire from fallen enemies over the course of a fight will allow you to finish off the remaining minions of Aku with style. Rushing Guard allows you to block while moving. Attacking out of this position will also result in a special attack that auto-targets the nearest enemy. This ability is fantastic in fights with lots of enemies where repositioning is vital. While you can hack and slash your way through the game, players looking to truly master the skills of Samurai Jack will have plenty to look forward to. We'll be talking about other skills later on, but for now, let's get back to the rest of the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Samurai Jack Showcase on Adult Swim Con. Woo! I'm Darrick Bachman. I'm the head writer of Samurai Jack, and it is my pleasure to introduce my friend joining us, creator of Samurai Jack, Genndy Tartakovsky.
Hi.
Hello, Genndy.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, we want to thank the fans for spending some time with us, and thank you for spending time with us. And,
yeah, it's kind of a crazy world, and it's crazy that we're still doing everything the way we'd be doing it. We're not fighting the crowds at Comic-Con. We're here at the comfort of our homes and still going to enjoy it.
Yeah. We're missing the sights, the smells, the sounds of the con, but but we're still together, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. I always have that sense when I get there and I'm so excited, and then I walk in and then I immediately want to leave because it's like millions of people and you just want to just leave the space. But now it's comfortable.
And many years we drive up together, and then, it's so much anticipation, on the way there. And then the minute we get there, it's just like, all right.
And we're
let's
done.
Go. But I also wanted to give a shout out because Aku, Greg Baldwin, is joining the Twitch chat. So he is going to be in the Twitch chat under the handle New Aku. So if you guys want to get some insults from Aku in the Twitch chat, go right ahead.
Nice.
He will flame everybody. But so we have a game. It's an all-new game.
I know. It's exciting, too, because I think, I was very dubious about games because we had some, from the years that we've been doing the show. And it's always kind of more of like an attempt to get some money quick because the show is getting some popularity and it's never done right. And so when this came around, it was the same reaction initially. But then as we started to dive deeper into it, we realized, they're going to give it the love. And it was a Japanese studio that was doing it. And they actually love Samurai Jack, amazingly enough. And so it all felt very sincere and honest. And as you can see by the game and just watching these trailers that they cut, it's really cool. And it really delivers the whole scope of the show. And I think that's what I always wanted. I wanted, you want everything you make to be like Star Wars, where everybody knows the mythology and everything. And
right.
And that's what's great is this video game has that. It has all the characters, even the Demongo and stuff. And it's got all the stuff that isn't as popular as just Jack and Aku.
Right. Yeah. And it's a different approach as we look to do the story for the game. We approached it as like another episode of the series, which is a different thing from the previous versions of the game iterations. Those were just strict games, but this is actually like a real like episode of the series. Jack has an adventure. It picks up along where the series finale, pocket in time during the series finale, and so it's a different way to approach it.
Yeah, and it's good because it's more involved, and it has the fun of all the different worlds. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think when you started writing, you started to really, I think your biggest challenge was probably threading all the worlds together and try to get from one stage to the other and give, feature all the things that everybody kind of loves.
Yeah. Because it's different writing for a game than it would be a TV series. Because, I think a TV series, you really control what the viewer sees. You're the storyteller, so you take them through every nuance. You show them everything you want to show. And in a game, the player, they take you take yourself through the game. So you can only show them so much, but we still approached it as it was a half-hour episode of the series, just the same way that you break down a character's journey, a plot. And the other challenge would be using the entire series versus just the 5th season,
Right. And it's nice. It's nice to see the 5th season in there.
Yeah. It gave it a nice arc because it's all 5 seasons, it's almost like Jack walking through his whole past, so you get a nice linear sense. And then when you get to the 5th season, you realize, the stakes escalate in the game. So that we're in, not only is the danger heightened, but we're also getting towards the end,
Right. Yeah.
So, is it different than how you imagined that it would be when you got to see the actual run through of the game? What was your take when you actually got to see Jack in like the 3D space?
Well, it's interesting because it's always, our show is so stylized and our characters like kind of technically don't work that well in 3D because we really draw them to the shot and everything is designed to the shot. And so when you have something that's the camera is going to be, swinging around, and I think initially we talked about those limitations, but if you limit the gameplay, I think it would really hurt the playability of the game. So it was finding this nice bridge between the two styles, And I always kind of thought about like, I wonder if we just do it as like live action, gameplay, and then like Call of Duty or whatever, just have it be fully realistic. But then I started to realize that people actually really, really love the art style, and I think you can't just forget about it and just have the name of the characters on a normal looking samurai with a white robe. So I think it's a blend, and it's hard. It's 3D is such a different beast or CG is such a different beast than 2D, and you're moving like a puppet around versus actually drawing something and figuring out. But I think again, it's kind of getting back to that sincerity. I think because people who worked on the show actually like the show and they're fans of it, and that's the advantage of doing a game after the show has been around for 15 plus years. Right. Luckily, it's built an audience. It has a fan base. And so a lot of people who work on the industry know the show and like the show. And when you get to work on it, just like when we worked on Star Wars. It was the same. We have such a fondness of it that whatever we're going to bring to it comes out of a purity and of a sincere love for the property.
Right. Yeah. And it was amazing to actually see when I visited the studio in Japan, they had posters of Samurai Jack up, and they're all super fans of the show, and they took, painstaking detail to try to kind of like adapt the backgrounds into 3D space. And I even remember Scott Wills, art director of the show, when he got to see the backgrounds, it was just like, it tripped him out to see it, like, whoa.
Yeah, even like there's that one scene from, it was like a white oasis, and it was super stylized in the show when him and Ashi are traveling. It was the big desert episode. And it was like a white oasis with a blue lake and these kind of orangey, really colorful palm trees.
Right.
And it was, one or two drawings, and now it's like a complete 3D space. And it actually works really well. It's really cool looking. So I think, like you're saying, they put some great effort into it, into translating it.
Yeah. What did you have any apprehension? I mean, because we've gone through a long odyssey to just finish the series itself, and it's pretty done. Jack's story is finished. And did you have any apprehension of trying to do another story within the realm of Jack, even though we'd kind of come to the end?
Yeah, and I think what, like, initially it was like, I don't know, and we're moving on to Primal and stuff, and then when you think about it, it's like, no, you want, if there's a demand for it. Then the thing about Jack is it started out softly, and it's been growing in popularity for the last 15, 17 years now.
Right.
And it's amazing. And it feels like it's still going, even though we don't have new episodes and stuff. So having this, I realized then, because I put it into your capable hands, and knowing that you would do it right. And also we would be, we'd both be involved to a degree, and that would help. But it made it okay to be something else. And I think if it was another TV show, it would be probably a much bigger deal. But because it's a different medium, it was okay to open up, because we've done comic books and all this kind of stuff, and they went different directions and stuff that I didn't approve or whatever, but it was okay. And it's part of the stuff that builds the world and builds the mythology of everything.
Yeah. And I think when we set out, there were some parameters already in place. They had kind of earmarked characters that they wanted to see in the game. And so that presented a little bit of a challenge, because how do you create a story with characters from earlier seasons? And so you got to figure out a little pocket, So I went through and I started just watching all the episodes again. And when I got to the very end, I just saw this one little piece, and I thought, okay, well, it's just a simple cut. It literally cuts from Ashi and Jack in the time portal, but there's like a 50-second window before we pick up with them again when they drop through the time portal. So that, well, there's a pocket of, it's also a time tunnel, so time could be infinite within there. So I thought that was the perfect place to stick a story, Yeah,
and that's the advantage of having a time travel show.
Yeah.
It is infinitely open. You can jump in wherever you want.
And the whole cast is back pretty much doing their roles, which is pretty incredible too, just to hear everybody across the board, even actors who don't even remember the characters because it's been 17 years since they've done them,
Yeah, because it was like Kevin Michael Richardson who did Demongo, and Demongo's got a very high registered voice. And I think you were telling me when you were in the record that he was like, no, this is affected. This isn't really me.
Yeah.
Right. And and it's like, no, it's you.
Yeah. And I just remember as well, they wouldn't really remember like which character is it, and then you would just play like the first word of like a line that they had done, and then instantly it was like, oh yeah, okay, that one, all right.
Yeah.
So it's like a card catalog of characters in the actors' heads. So
and the thing about these actors for Jack, they were all so good, and their life is they go to a session for 2 or 4 hours, then they go to another session, a different character completely, and another. And this is every day of every year, pretty much. Yeah. And so the amount that they do is insane. And there's what's important in dialogue is rhythm. So each character has a rhythm of delivery, and for them to just jump back in right now and Demongo, it's pretty awesome.
It's also awesome watching Phil as well, because when he's in the booth, he's feeling everything, and it's like he's delivering the lines, and he's living the character right there. So it's pretty incredible to watch.
Yeah,
he is Samurai Jack.
Yep. For a show without a lot of dialogue, all the dialogue was still really successful and memorable, which is great.
Yeah. I guess it begs the question of, do you see more? Is Jack's story over? Would you ever say, would it ever go even any further?
I don't know. I never want to, I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to come. I was just watching a Miyazaki documentary of him coming out of retirement for the 3rd time or something. And it's like, maybe I shouldn't be so definitive about my answers, and who knows where life takes you. And, if Jack keeps growing in popularity and there's a demand, I never want to do it. I want to do it for the right reason, I guess.
Right.
If there's going to be more, and Jack's, my second baby after Dexter.
Yeah.
And he opened up my career and the whole thing. So never say never, but I don't think so.
Yeah. So for any fans that are watching too, speaking of your career, if they want a career in animation, what advice would you give them? That's starting.
Well, you gotta love it. Don't go into animation for money or anything like that, because it's it's hard work, and it's in its own way, and it's sometimes tedious and very demanding. And so you want to do it because you love it. I came into animation before I knew you could even make money. Like I was like, oh, I could pay my rent, but I never expected any kind of grandiose thing. I certainly didn't expect to run a show or have my own shows or anything like that. So number one, go into it for the right reasons because you're passionate about it. But I mean, that should be just general life advice anyways, if I may be so bold to give you life advice. But you got to draw. You got to understand storytelling. I think that's one of the big things that I never realized early on. I was so focused in on the drawing and my drawing ability and my animation ability. I completely didn't realize that everything is about the story and character. Right. And so after we started doing Dexter, I started to really shift away, and I still always try to make myself better technically with my craft, but it was like, how do you tell a story? How do you tell something emotional? How do you tell something funny? How do you tell a joke, which is one of the hardest things to do? How do you make somebody laugh? And my job as a director, I realized, was communicating ideas, because we would get these really funny storyboard pitches by these funny storyboard artists. And I'm like, okay, well, they're funny and we're friends, so I think they're funny. How do I take this and translate it into the real voice actors, the real timing, the real characters, the real expressions? And that became my passion and the science of trying to figure it out. And so what I would say is focus in on storytelling, books, comics, TV, film, all of it. When something works, try to analyze it. And why is this working? Why am I getting such a good reaction from it?
Right. And
easy.
Yeah. For those of you watching, I can attest to this, that Genndy is the hardest working person in this industry. So he puts everything into it, all his heart and soul. So that's what you got to do. You got to pour it all in there.
Well, thank you. Well, I do. I love what I do, and I still have fun doing it for the most part.
So I think we actually have some questions.
Let's do it.
So let's do some. And the first one is from New Aku, Greg Baldwin. What?
Okay.
He's asking, what do you think about an Aku spinoff, a talk show called Hate Night with Aku?
Yeah, that's a good one, Greg.
Yeah. Well, here's a good one from Adult Swim _Al. It's a question for both of us. How do you write a Samurai Jack fight scene, and what does it look like on the page? That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't look like much. Usually, I think, Darrick, when you write because we just go from outlines to storyboards.
Yes.
So generally, we try to stay in the story. You'd probably write something that there's a battle.
Yeah.
And maybe if it's a really in-depth battle, you would do the beginning, middle, and end of the battle.
Yeah.
Right.
You try to emotionally, you put where the character's emotional state is through the battle, and then I'd kind of place in just placeholder action, which could change completely in the board. But just as long as you know where the character starts at the beginning of that battle emotionally and where he ends up, that's all that I think that you approach in the outline.
And then when we get it for storyboards, it's all about rhythm and energy. And an action sequence is a song, right? If you're doing a big action fight and you want to have slow parts, fast parts, just like a good song, you want to build to something big. And that's the way I kind of started to structure it. I would listen to music a lot when I was storyboarding fights and choreography. And I would go, right. And then I would draw as fast as I can, like almost as like in real time. And then when I would pitch it, I would try to find my rhythm. Right. And then once I could do it, I started to realize, oh, okay, yeah, that's feeling good. Is it feeling short? And so fighting, besides the actual technical choreography, it's the finding a great rhythm. And if you watch stuff, especially like the earlier, like John Woo stuff, it's got so much rhythm. Bruce Lee, his fights, all about rhythmic choreography, and there's a rhythm to the fighting. And it's not just, there's a dance to it, exactly. It's not,
no, he dances around and he strikes, and then he strikes in a few,
Yeah, and there's the moments and stuff, and so it's the storytelling.
Yeah.
It's a good question, yeah.
Yeah, it's really a good one. So let's see. Red Riot 326 asks, what is your favorite episode of Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack, and Primal? It's a lot.
Well, I think I can answer that. And I mean, there's a lot of favorites, but I usually narrow it down to, for Dexter, I think when we did Old Man Dexter, which was, I think, one of our third or fourth shorts, it really worked and it defined what the show was. I mean, the first two pilots definitely defined it to a degree, but because Craig McCracken did the storyboard and it wasn't me, it took it to a different level, because now he was translating the same characters that I created, but through his point of view, and it really, really worked, and it was solid and really funny, and it raised it to that next level. So that was always one of my ones that I cherish, is Old Man Dexter. Samurai Jack was, I think, probably the Blind Archers. We were going really well, and then I think that was the 7th episode, and Mark and Brian Andrews did the storyboard, and it was something that I saw in my head so clearly.
Right.
And then when they pitched the storyboard, it was amazing, and it was that defining thing where you've got the silence, the artistry, the action, the humor. It all came together, and it kind of happens with shows where it just goes click, and you just feel it.
Yeah.
And with Primal, Primal is at a point where have so much more understanding of what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I think, I think the first episode, there's a lot of moments in there where I really realized this is going to work without dialogue. And then probably the 5th one, Rage of the Ape Men.
Yeah.
Because it kind of tells everything that we're doing. We've got the bond between the characters. It's got this great, peaceful, beautiful, soft, quiet sequence, and then the most horrific action that we've done yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yet. Let's see. let's see. I think it's VORT3XZ_1 asks, how long did it take to write season 5 of Samurai Jack, and how long before season 5 actually aired as it was written?
Well, the interesting thing is I was working on that story idea, and Darrick was, we were both kind of working on it through different movie iterations of Samurai Jack. Mm-hmm. The goal was Jack falls in love, and then he goes home, right? That's what we wanted. And I wanted to see if I could do Jack falling in love and have it feel authentic to the way I would want it to be. So we had versions of that, and Aku's daughters and all that stuff. And so we had little pieces for years that we've been playing around with. And then once I made that phone call and said, like, all right, let's do 10 more episodes, and it was approved, then we just sat down, and it wasn't difficult. It was, everything, because I think we've been thinking about it for so long, everything fell in place very quickly.
Yeah. And
then it's just balancing it and structuring it. And then we pretty much got into production right away.
Yeah. And it was a long journey to get to it, and we had done several feature versions of it, and it was kind of like, okay, well, you just approach it as one large movie, really, and then in the 10 pieces, just kind of like slice it up, and try to divvy it out. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. NDN Man says, any chance we can see a live action Samurai Jack, and who would you have play Jack?
We've gone through a live action Samurai Jack with, I think 3 different studios, 3 different producers, big time directors. Mm-hmm. It always gets stuck because they love it for the reasons that we all love Jack. And then when it goes into live action, they want to change those things.
Right.
And I never want to change those things because I know those are the things that work. And so the chances are, I think, slim, but who knows? Mm-hmm. Who I'd want to have play Jack? Everybody used to talk about Keanu Reeves, but I was like, that felt weird. I mean, I would try to find an authentic, Japanese actor. Who could do it? Like I want it to feel as authentic as some of the stuff from Last Samurai felt.
Yeah.
Right. Not the Tom Cruise part, but they did some stuff where it really feels that feels cool. They made samurais cool. So I'd want that type of authenticity.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Zoid 9000 is asking, will we ever find out Jack's real name?
No. That's an easy one. Sorry. Yeah.
Just Informed is asking, the shows you create are becoming more and more graphic and violent. Are you exploring a new medium or mindset, or is there a deeper reason for your creative direction? That's a good question.
That is a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think, because after doing Dexter and Powerpuff and Jack and Titan and Clone Wars and 3 Hotel Transylvania movies, there's a certain limit to kid stuff or, stuff that's for general audiences. And I loved, the reason for Primal is really my love of the Conan books, the short stories. And I really loved the way they felt. And I dabbled with some adult animation a little bit here and there. And then I started to realize, like, here's an opportunity to do something more sophisticated and not just do violent for violence sake, like whatever, like Ninja Scroll or something. It still has story and character and sophistication. And can I do it with my sensibility? Because actually, I'm not a violent person at all. I don't like gore. I don't really see horror movies or thrillers or whatever. I don't like being scared, but I like creating those moods and atmosphere. But that's really cool. And it's something different. I think that's the thing. It's if I had to do another Dexter series right now, I mean, I would do it and it would be fun, but it would definitely be using the same muscles that I've used. Where Primal, it's so visual, it's so different type of storytelling. Even the first 5th season of Jack, we could do it. All of a sudden, I think the big realization was, oh yeah, we don't have to be black and white. Like when you're doing stuff for kids, 6 to 11 in general, you got to be really clear and all that kind of stuff. And we almost too clear. Like we always try not to speak down to kids. We try to control it. But now to do something adult, we don't have to define it. Yeah. So when like the Omen came up in the 5th season, we just left it to the audience. And, in reading some of the feedback after those episodes would air, it was awesome and so much fun for the audience to have their own interpretation. I mean, we knew what it represented for us. It's not like we're like, we'll throw a weird green guy on a horse in there. It definitely had, it definitely had meaning for us. But it was great to see the audience, and some people totally picked it up, and other people had their own interpretations, and that was very attractive to me. That now it's a more interactive, almost experience to a degree.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Cartoon Gamer 8000 is asking. It's a question for you. Is the caveman from Primal the same one from Dexter's Lab?
No, come on, it's not.
No.
No.
Let's see. Diana Chronism is asking, did Mad Max inspire some of Jack's hallucinations?
No, we were talking about it. It was actually more from probably from Jacob's Ladder. I think I almost in that movie, for some reason, the flashes of his memories stuck with me for some reason. I mean, many films have done it, so it's not like it's not a new thing that we invented the flashback or Mad Max did. Certainly, Mad Max Fury Road, that first 20, 30 minutes is incredible. And when I watched it, I was like, yeah, that's amazing. So I love the feel and energy of that. And so maybe it did have some inspiration from it. But generally, we were exploring this, PTSD type of situation for Jack, and it felt. I know it felt similar, but it wasn't from that. It was, from something earlier.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's a funny one. Desbot16 is asking, what would Jack think of the world where Primal takes place?
He would not like it. That is a rough world. I don't think anybody would want to be in that. Yeah.
No.
I don't think anybody wants to be in that world.
Yeah. Let's see. Phase denial. I think I got that right. Will you explore other Asian culture in your future animation? Would love to see you adapting something from my home country, Malaysia's culture.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the world, I guess. And we always try to, through Samurai Jack, we tried to find different cultures that we could emulate and do things with. And I think we're continuing that through everything. So I think the answer is yes. Mm-hmm. We're, I think both Darrick and I were fans of history, and so I look at stuff all the time and try to find, especially doing Primal, it's so much about early culture from all over, and seeing, it's so interesting and so educational to see how everything evolved. And yeah.
Great. Let's see. Prevailing Dragon is asking, how does working with Adult Swim compared to working with studios like Sony? And will you all be showing more gameplay after the Q&A? I don't know.
Yes, they are, I think so. Oh, maybe they're not. Yeah.
What creators do y'all find the most influential? So that's a loaded question, but how does Adult Swim compare working with studios like Sony?
Yeah, I mean, Adult Swim was my birth in the industry, I would say, because Mike Lazo, who ran Adult Swim, was the head programmer at Cartoon Network, and he was one of the ones who greenlit Dexter. So we had that much history together, and with him, it was just complete and utter trust and faith, and he was a fan of what I did. So that made it easy. Sony, I had to rebuild my relationship with the executives and find a place where we respected each other, and I had to earn my way into their hearts. and so it was a process, but we got there, and it's and the feature business is pressure. It is pressure-filled bubble, right? Because you've got that opening weekend, and everything better be perfect for that opening weekend. Otherwise, it's a complete failure instantly. Where in television, you can start the show, usually the pilot or the first episode's not great. And then by the 6th or 8th episode, you're finally getting your fan base. So the pressure is less. And so I think those are so everybody's like, is going to explode. So it's a much...
Everybody's eyes are on it.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, are you doing this right? Is this going to work? Is this going to work? And you're like, yeah, it's going to work. I've done this before. Just trust, have faith. And that's, when it's that type of pressure and high stakes, it's difficult. But I mean, but we're getting there, and we have a very good relationship now. What was the other part of that question?
What creators do you find the most influential?
Oh, I mean, of course, it's Sergio Leone, it's Miyazaki, it's Kurosawa, it's David Lean, all the Hitchcock, William Friedkin, John Frankenheimer, a lot of 70s, Francis Ford Coppola. I think, Apocalypse Now is just a cinematic, masterpiece. So I think all this more classic type of cinema. Warner Brothers, of course. What about you, Darrick?
Pretty much everybody you just said. It's Kurosawa. It's definitely Francis Ford Coppola. Early Apocalypse Now, The Godfather, Godfather 2.
Right.
Some of the best movies ever made. So, let's see. Kay's Dreamer's asking, what are some projects you're working on now, Mr. Tartakovsky?
Well, I mean, we're doing Primal, still continuing that. I've talked publicly about the 2 features that I'm developing at Sony. One's an action one is a R-rated comedy. So those are progressing. And then, a couple of things have popped up that are pretty exciting. So I can't talk about it just yet, but boy, is it going to be great. So it's just, even though it's a crappiest time in the world, it's good at my office because I'm very busy and doing lots of stuff. In my microcosm, things are going well. But yeah.
Okay. We have time for just a few more questions. So I'm going to hit you with one from photofilm.com. What originally inspired the artistic visual style of Samurai Jack?
Well, it was the love of the 50s era stylized cartoons. Everything from Toot Whistle Plunk and Boom to it's been so long since I've gone back to that. To UPA, of course, and so that was always part of something we wanted to do. We wanted to do it very a stylistic type of show. Hanna-Barbera, of course, and so I wanted to do an action show, but still grounded in this stylistic, cartoony world. And really, I wanted to do an action Tex Avery, because Tex Avery did this cartoon called Symphony and Slang.
Uh-huh.
And it's like a cartoon of all puns, but it was designed by Ed Benedict and Tom Orb, and it looked really great. And I was like, I wonder if I could do an action show like that looked like that. Because I believe in cartoony character designs expressing emotion. And I always refer back to that scene in Snow White when Snow White's dead and all the dwarfs are around, and there's giant bulbous noses, and they're as cartoony as can be, and you totally feel their sadness and their emotion. So it was the UPA, what's his name, Maurice Noble, doing those Chuck Jones cartoons that are more stylized. Ivan Earl and all stuff. And and then when Scott Wills came aboard the project, he was able to take all of that stuff that we liked and add lighting and atmosphere to it. And that's when it exploded and became what it became. Because Scott's one of these guys who could do both super cartoony, like when he did Ren and Stimpy, super cartoony, and then he could do really real and atmosphere and lighting. He could do real lighting. Like you could look at one of his Samurai Jack paintings with the light coming down through the trees, and it's like, wow, that feels like real light, and those it's got real depth in it. And once those two worlds combined, that was the magic.
Yeah, this is truly incredible. So, I guess this might be our last question. So let's get a good one. What is your philosophy? This is from Codename Ace753. What is your philosophy when designing characters in regards to shape, language, color, and reference? That's a good one. That's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, I think initially it was like, what can I do that's super cool? But then as I've progressed in my career and my understanding of what I'm doing, it's what is going to service the story properly. Mm-hmm. So, once I get into something and, like whatever, let's say we're doing, and usually it's I have a vision in my head when I have the idea. Like when we came up with Ashi and the Daughters of Aku, I knew I wanted them very slick and all in black too. And because, again, the story dictated that they're daughters of Aku, so we gave him these, Asian-inspired face masks, like Aku's face is inspired from these Chinese masks, opera masks. And so his story always informs the character. It's very hard to just I'm just going to do a character, and if you've got your story working and who the character is, that's the best way to do it. And then everything else starts informing it. Like, oh, is it a big character, a thin character, a tall, and then it starts connecting with that, so it's like, I don't think about shape, language. I try not to think about much except get the feel of who this character is. Like with the spear from Primal, it's a caveman. It's like, all right, Neanderthal, how do I do it? And we kept drawing it like 100, thousands of drawings until you get to this one combination of nose and brows, and you're like, and hair. Oh, okay, that's feeling. And you wanted this, hulking ape thing. So, yes, I think that's the best philosophy. Is there is no philosophy. It's just be true, true to yourself, be sincere, try not to copy other stuff. Just kind of have your story, know who your character is, and draw it until there's a spark in it and go, oh, there it is. Let me start massaging that one.
That's pretty great. Good advice, everybody.
I wish there was a secret, but there's not.
Let's see. They haven't yanked us off yet, so maybe I'll just do one more question. Well, okay. So Zoid 9000's asking, was there any sort of story genre or cliche you wanted to explore in Samurai Jack that you didn't get a chance to?
Probably what I'm doing in Primal. Like, I think some of that stuff we explored so much. I mean, we did horror, we did comedy, we did epic scale and stuff. And I think what we did in the 5th season, I think the one, I don't have regrets, but I think the one thing that the 5th season illuminated was that the episodic was so strong,
right?
And have a continuous story. And I don't know if everybody knows, but back then when we were doing Jack, you're not allowed to do episodic storytelling because they always tell you, well, we're going to show them out of order. So we don't want any type of continuity. And when you're doing with one quest, I mean, and today it's every single show you watch is episodic.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And so we were stifled with that right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And so
we could never do anything that had continuity over the course of several episodes. It just wasn't, we couldn't do it.
Yeah. And we tried to sneak it in here and there, like he's learned something. But then when you watch the 5th season, it's all about this giant, amazing arc and discovery. Right. And you can start him broken and then build him back up, and it's so much more fun to tell a story that way.
Right. And one last question is Yokai Mask. I know you've worked with adapting existing properties like Clone Wars, and you're working on Popeye. Any property you would like to make that's based on something?
I mean, I still feel, because of my love for Conan, I feel like I could do a great Conan movie, because I feel like I understand who he is and the energy and the feel that he brings. And I would just do it like the short stories, because I love the way they feel. And after doing Primal, like I know I'm very comfortable with that genre. Right. So, but after doing Star Wars, it's hard to see another property like, oh yeah, like, let me try my hand at this. So
I know the Robert E. Howard novels are so amazing, and they've informed Primal so much. So it's just reading those over again and just steeping yourself in it. It's like, that's all I ever think about too, is Conan. It needs, how amazing would it be?
Yeah. And because he's a much different character than he is in the movies, much different. Yeah. And so there's a Conan that nobody's ever seen, and that would be fun to bring to life. And I had another thought. Yeah, and I think, what I was gonna say is, like, I really like right now with Primal, which is my first new show since Samurai. I've been having a lot of fun creating a world, and I remembered how much fun it is to create something original and have it come alive and have it succeed, hopefully.
And that's the biggest fight, really. Just talking with you every day, it's like every day is a fight just for you to get something original. It's like original is the hardest thing to sell, because people want the instant recognition of something that they know, and it's more of a chance to create something from the ground up.
Yeah, and it's really fun to have people realize, like, oh, I never knew I wanted to watch a show about a dinosaur and a caveman being friends and going on adventures and not talking. So it's creating something that's actually new, and watching something that gives you a feeling of something different that you haven't maybe experienced. That's what's exciting. You always, as a director, you want to do stuff that nobody's doing. You want to be hired, like, oh wow, well, Genndy does that, so let's get him. And even though I can do many things, at the same time, I'm always trying to create something that I can get really good at. So
that's amazing. Phil Lamar sent me several Instagram messages. He snuck in for a bit on the chat. So hello, Phil Lamar.
Hi, Phil.
I just want to remind everybody out there to catch up on all 5 seasons of Samurai Jack. In the first 5 episodes of Primal as well, Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal. They're in the Adult Swim collection on the HBO Max app. So you could binge a good long time doing that.
And then you'll be part of my family. Like, we'll be brothers and sisters all together.
Yeah.
You can watch all that.
The game is available for pre-order now. So you can pre-order that, the Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, at the samuraijackgame.com. And I can't believe it's already here. It's been a couple years working on that. So it's
been a while.
It's nice to see it finally hit the game systems. I'll die within the first 10 seconds of playing, but it'll be okay.
Awesome. Thanks for joining in, everybody. We'll see you guys soon, hopefully.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Genndy. While the minions of Aku aren't impossible to defeat through attacks alone, there's a number of techniques that will make dealing with some enemies a breeze. Let's go over those now. Counter is a skill similar to perfect blocking, but can be executed while already in a blocking stance. The timing for a counter is a little different from parrying, which is perfect for countering some attack strings with ease. Instant Guard is an unlockable skill that allows you to cancel a successful attack immediately into a block. This allows you to quickly transition from offense to defense with speed, and is especially useful when facing large groups of enemies. Throws are really awesome. They go through enemy blocks, can be canceled into from normal combos, and sometimes allow you to grab weapons off some enemies in the fray. Don't forget about this powerful ability. If things are getting hectic, use your launcher combo and jump attack. Fans of action games will be familiar with this one. You'll do splash damage when crashing back to the ground and knock by nearby enemies, which can be a great way to deal with large groups. Even though I probably shouldn't tell you about this one, I'm going to anyway. In Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, you can quickly swap between up to 4 weapons in the middle of the fight. What you might not notice is that you can do this at the end of combos to quickly cancel into a brand new one with the weapon you've swapped to. It's awesome. While these aren't all of the techniques available to you in the game, we hope this gives you some ideas for how to defeat the minions of Aku. There's more we could show you, but you'll just have to wait until August 21st to get your hands on the rest. For now, thanks for watching and for being a fan of Samurai Jack.
ファンの皆さんどうもありがとうございます。ジャックの旅はまだ終わりじゃありません。未来を変えましょう。
Working on Samurai Jack Battle Through Time has been an amazing experience. We got to work with Soleil, the head writer from Season 5, and the original voice cast to make something really authentic to the show.
僕ら日本の忍者たちが侍のゲームを作りました。サムライジャック最高！サムライ
Thank you so much for being a fan of Samurai Jack.
サムライジャックの世界観を、一生懸命作りましたので皆さん楽しんでください。
This has been a remarkable experience to go from a fan watching the show to being Jack in this incredible game.
I've loved Samurai Jack ever since I was a kid. It's surreal getting to work on a game like this.
サムライジャック発売だぜ。みんなアクー様を倒すんだ。
We appreciate you. We thank you for the support. We've been working on this game for a long time, and we hope that you have as much fun playing it as we did creating it.
We love making games, and we love that you love them.
ジャックの世界を楽しんでね。
Can't wait for you to play it.
ジャック発売おめでとう。やったった。
You wanted blood? We gave you blood. Now one show emerges to claim the Adult Swim Show's Summer Showdown. Tune in for the Rick and Morty Marathon tonight at 12:30 and honor your new comedy overlord.
That's good old-fashioned fun right there.